ask a favor. Since today is Veterans Day, I would like to see a show of hands of the veterans that we have in this room. I know I've met several already. Would you please raise your hand? Thank you. I'm so happy that Sherry preceded me in talking. She said that she knows him, or knew him longer. I'll say know him longer than anybody here. And it's good to hear that, because she mentioned some of Glenn's characteristics and traits that in the short time that I knew him in Vietnam, I wrote some notes here, and they say exactly the same thing. But I got to know Glenn over a 49-year period, actually, and that's how long our friendship has lasted. And so I'm going to share with you some thoughts that I've collected in my notes, simply because I want to just kind of keep a focus on some of the things that I wanted to mention to you. I'm from, to members, first of all, to members of the Colbert family and friends, I want to express my gratitude for giving me this opportunity and honor to speak this afternoon about a great man and a dear friend, Glenn Colbert. I'm going to share with you, first of all, my friendship with Glenn primarily during the Army-Vietnam era or season, but I'll open with a brief description of the period just before I met Glenn, and I'm going to close with a brief description of our friendship during the post-Army Vietnam period, because those periods are intertwined with the Army-Vietnam season. I've been married to my precious wife, Teresa, the beautiful lady there in the green dress, for 48 years. I met Teresa when she was 15 and I was 16. We were boyfriend and girlfriend for the next 3 years before I went into the military. The Vietnam War was raging during that time, and I had already lost 2 of my good friends. So I was drafted, unlike Glenn, who volunteered for the Army. I'd actually tried to volunteer and enlist in the Navy and Air Force, but there was a long waiting list by that time. So I just waited for the draft, and sure enough, eventually I was. And I went to Fort Polk, Louisiana to receive my basic and advanced infantry training. After completing that training, I received orders for combat in Vietnam. I asked Teresa to marry me, and at my request, she agreed to delay the wedding until after my return from Vietnam. She was 18 and I was 20 at the time. I had orders to report to the 1st Infantry Division, but when I arrived in Vietnam in March of 1968, my orders were changed to report to the 25th Infantry Division. Both of these were very distinguished military combat units. And it was in the 25th Infantry Division where I was to meet Glenn. Glenn served in Vietnam from 1968 to 69, as I did. But the thing that really just, in hindsight, that struck me is that our arrival was staggered on different months. So I actually knew Glenn in Vietnam for less than a year. In reflecting back on the early beginnings of our friendship, I marveled at how it was possible to develop such a deep, lifelong, powerful friendship in such a brief period. Truly a marvel. I know from human experience that relationships exposed to intense pressure in dangerous situations form a unique, strong bond. And it's true that a strong bond of brotherhood was forged between several of us. But for Glenn and I, it was truly a relationship of blood brothers. Very profound, very deep. Glenn and I met in a field base camp, which is essentially a remote temporary base for infantrymen. Around the perimeter of the camp was protected with sharp barrier wire, claymore mines, machine guns, manned by infantrymen on guard 24/7. Inside the perimeter, there was not much more than several sandbag bunkers, tents, makeshift toilets, and crude showers. It was from one of these base camps where we launched, or rather it was from these base camps where we launched daily and nightly missions outside the base camp to engage the enemy. This is where Glenn and I met and forged our friendships. When you take recruits from New York, New Jersey, Michigan, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, California, Washington, Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, Hawaii, and every other state, it seemed like, and put them all together as a combat unit, look out. You end up with a mixed bunch of guys, some loud and boisterous, some funny, some aggressive, some vulgar, and some quiet. Some were gentlemen, and that was Glenn. A gentleman at all times. All times. No one ever mistook that as a sign of weakness. He was well respected. I don't recall whether it was Glenn or I that took the initiative to introduce ourselves. It could have been either one of us. Like most introductions to new people, you either like them or you don't. And by subsequent meetings, chats, and observation, your opinion of that person is confirmed, good or bad. I believe Glenn and I, from the get-go, appreciated each other's character and qualities. He was easygoing, quiet, truthful, friendly, loyal, clear-headed, and a gentleman. In preparing these notes, I looked up the word gentleman in the dictionary, and it says, a man whose conduct conforms to a high standard of propriety or correct behavior. I said, yep, that was Glenn. Later, it would be clear to me that he was also brave. At a meeting, a reunion that he and I had 6 years ago, and I'll talk about that in just a moment, he told my wife that he felt like if he ever got stuck in a tunnel, that I would come after him. And that's true. But I really felt the same way about him. We were very close and would do anything to protect ourselves, protect one another. These qualities of bravery are easy to observe and proven by our actions. And when you engage the enemy, I mean, there is such violence going on. Somebody's trying to kill you, and your job is to try to kill them. You don't think about turning around and running back the other way. It's pure bravery. And that was something that I recall in Glenn and the rest of the guys.